Hey everyone, my name is Max and this is the weekly comic review for June 11th in the year of our Lord 2025. Now this week I managed to read about 10 comics, and let me tell you, there were some real high highs and some really low lows. But before we jump into individual reviews for each and every one, as I break down kind of which ones you will absolutely need to pick up and which ones you can safely skip out on, I've got to lead with my absolute highest recommendation. We're going to start strong with this week's undisputed champion, the comic that just completely blew me away, Conan the Barbarian, issue number 21 from Titan Comics. Conan number 21 kicks off a thrilling new story arc, A Nest of Serpents, and it's clear from the first page that this issue is a powerful return to form for the series. Written by the fantastic Jim Zub with fresh artistic talent from Fernando Dagnino on illustrations and awesome colors by Diego Rodriguez, this creative team immediately captures the essence of Conan's world. The narrative sees the Great Serpent's influence, drawing Conan and his allies into the perilous lands of Stygia. What they discover there promises to chill their blood and set the stage for a conflict far beyond their wildest imaginings. After a few lukewarm filler issues, notably issue 17 and 18, with art that just really didn't quite fit the sword and sorcery atmosphere, this comic feels like a breath of fresh air and a real return to form. It's incredibly dense, packing in new character introductions, journeys to distant lands, and crucial catch-ups on Conan's past adventures, all within a single issue. You definitely get your money's worth here. Now, while I'm saddened to hear that Roberto de la Torre won't be returning to the pages of Conan anytime soon, I am genuinely impressed with what Fernando Dagnino brings to the table. It's a seamless handoff between artists. His illustrations pack a punch with incredibly detailed and talented line work. It feels like he's using techniques similar to De La Torre's, but with a cleaner, exciting, and distinct flair. Zub, meanwhile, is clearly having a blast with this, introducing a really exciting story filled with fun action scenes and set pieces for Conan to tear through. His tone perfectly evokes the grandeur and epic scale of the old Robert E. Howard stories and the classic Roy Thomas comics. This issue leaves us on a fantastically thrilling cliffhanger, and I'm already eagerly and excitedly anticipating what's in store with this new storyline. Highest of recommendations from me. Next up, grabbing our close second place spot this week is Transformers issue number 21. From the powerhouse team of Daniel Warren Johnson on writing and Jorge Corona on illustrations. This is the moment a lot of fans have been waiting for, and one that is building up to the colossal face-off between Optimus Prime and Megatron. This issue packs a truly startling reveal about Optimus that delivers a massive shock to the reader. Jorge Corona is without a doubt one of the best artists in the game right now, and he has truly honed his craft on this Transformers book, particularly with these action scenes. If it's even possible, he gets better with each subsequent issue. There is a splash page featuring Superion and another with Optimus himself that are both mind-numbingly impactful and incredible. They are absolutely breathtaking to behold. Beyond the intensely kinetic action of the main plot, I did really also appreciate the meaningful characterization of Optimus and how profoundly his leadership shines through in the most dire of circumstances. DWJ's masterful tone creates a looming sense of dread throughout the entire book, and with this creative team gearing up for a conclusion around issue 24 or 25, you can genuinely feel that this is a low point for the Autobots. They are going to need something monumental to dig themselves out of this hole. Or will this series end on a note of pain and loss, much like Avengers Infinity War? I am incredibly curious to see where this goes, but this issue definitely leaves us with heartbreak, with the Decepticons more powerful than ever and the Autobots firmly on the back foot. Seriously, Transformers is easily one of the best comics on the market right now. You absolutely need to be reading this series. Next up, we've got Batman Dark Patterns number 7 by Dan Waters and Hayden Sherman. Case number 3, The Old Gangs of Gotham. When a deadly body is found burned to a crisp in the heart of one of Gotham's oldest neighborhoods, the Rookery, the Dark Knight detective finds himself enmeshed in a twisting murder mystery dating back to the early days of the Red Hood Gang. So, I initially found myself thoroughly hooked by the first 3 issues of this series, particularly drawn in by the compelling new villain introduced and the impressive synergy between writing and illustrations. Interestingly, I later discovered the same artist was also working on Absolute Wonder Woman. However, his art style undeniably lends itself far better to the grim atmosphere of Gotham and Batman than it did to the Wonder Woman title. Despite this initial enthusiasm, I was significantly let down by the conclusion of that first arc in issue number 3, which felt like it squandered all of the goodwill and momentum this series had previously built up. Yet, with issue number 7 kicking off a new arc titled Pareidolia, I decided to approach it with an open mind and give the series another chance. This issue immediately establishes a serious and intense tone, which I found highly appealing. The writing is exceptionally well crafted, demonstrating a clear understanding of Bruce Wayne's character. The arc's title, Pareidolia, and I want to make sure I'm getting that right, refers to the human tendency to perceive patterns or faces where none exist, like seeing faces in clouds or something of that nature. This concept is central to Batman's challenge here as a detective in this particular story. He must learn to see beyond deceptive patterns and avoid attributing malevolence to mere nature or coincidence. This proves particularly difficult given Gotham's history of multiple fires that have coincidentally spawned many of the villains within the series. Now, seemingly at his breaking point, Batman is taking his unbridled anger directly to the streets. Hayden Sherman's panel layouts and illustrations are truly works of art here. His style is incredibly creative, interesting, and distinctly unique. Furthermore, the Rookery, the location established in this issue, is a terrifying and horrific setting that serves as an absolutely brilliant backdrop for Batman's detective work. There's so much more I could say about this issue, but I will let you all discover it for yourselves. This one comes with a strong recommendation from me this week, and frankly, it is far superior to the next Batman book on our list, Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman number 9 by Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta. The latest development in saving the derelict and despondent of our society is a facility known as Arc-M, a fully operational institution that has played a rather sizable part, on purpose or not, in the creation of evil, and it's active. So when Bruce tries to infiltrate it and distill its secrets, a new villain from Gotham City arrives to deal with the problem, an old adversary of Alfred's, a man known only as Bane. This issue opens with the introduction of Bane, who immediately establishes himself as a menacing and hardcore presence. However, writer Scott Snyder takes Bane's character in a subversively idiotic direction that feels contrived, lacking any substantive narrative justification. It comes across as subversion just for subversion's sake. An interesting detail in this issue illustrates Bruce Wayne's relentless war on Gotham's criminal underworld. The local hospitals are depicted as running out of ambulances due to the sheer volume of his nightly interventions. This small touch effectively conveys the intense impact of Batman's work on the city, which I kinda liked. However, the comic's pacing and flow suffer due to some of the grid-like panel layouts, a stylistic choice prevalent throughout the entire series so far. These layouts feel clunky and disruptive, hindering both smooth transitions and making the reading experience feel like a chore. Nick Dragotta returns on art duties, which is a welcome sight, though I feel like his work in the earlier issues of the series felt more impactful, and I enjoyed it a lot more. Despite some panel layouts, the overall Arc-M reveal is effectively handled, I will say, providing an ominous and intense introduction. Overall, though, Absolute Batman number 9 felt like a slog to read. Its pacing was off, the flow was disjointed, and the ultimate reveal regarding Bane's powers if one can even call it that, was both ridiculous and unsatisfying. I am sure that fans of this series will still most likely enjoy the direction they're taking this. However, while I wouldn't go so far as saying, to call this comic an abomination despite the issue's title, it's certainly not one I would recommend this week. Next up, we've got Aquaman number 6 by Jeremy Adams and Michael Shelfer. Big Blue Battle Royale. Can the power of Thalassa, the Tri-Lance Saber, be enough to unite Aquaman and his people? It better be, because if King Arthur is to have a prayer of seeing Atlantis again, he's going to need to hurry. The mystery of the Pearl deepens, the power of the Dark Tide grows, and a major step on the path to the next big DCU event is taken in this epic chapter of the Dark Tide Saga. While I haven't been consistently following this run, I've heard overwhelmingly positive feedback from friends, and I deeply respect Jeremy Adams' passion and dedication to the craft of writing and storytelling. This issue immediately stands out with its enjoyable art and the intriguing concept designs for the various trapped undersea gods. Adams truly nails Arthur's voice as Aquaman, a refreshing change, especially after Kelly Sue DeConnick's previous run on the character. Similarly, the villain in this issue is portrayed with a menacing presence, making him feel like a genuine threat. This issue is genuinely charming. It's like hot soup on a cold, rainy day, comforting and satisfying. It's not groundbreaking by any means, but that's kind of precisely its strength. It delivers exciting, adventurous fun that's consistently grounded in strong writing, solid art, and a well-executed story. Most importantly, it gets the characters right and perfectly executes the superhero formula. Sometimes that's truly all you need from a comic, which is why, for me, this is definitely a recommendation this week. Next up, we've got Death of the Silver Surfer #1 by Greg Pak and Sumit Kumar. The Silver Surfer returns to defend a war-ravaged Earth, but Norrin has a galaxy-sized target on his back. A new enemy will stop at nothing to steal away everything the Surfer is or ever will be. A single human life may be all that decides the Surfer's salvation or damnation. If the Surfer falls, who then wields the awesome power cosmic? And what of the Surfer's old master, Galactus, devourer of worlds? This issue of Silver Surfer feels largely inessential and inconsequential, adding little to the enduring legacy or character development of Norrin Radd. While the script struggles immensely, the artistic contributions are notably superior, making you feel bad that Sumit Kumar has been saddled with such an awful narrative. Despite the writing's shortcomings, though, there are genuinely beautiful and inspiring pages of art within this issue, clearly crafted with a deep love and passion for the Silver Surfer. The use of colors is equally just as impressive, enhancing the inks and adding a visual richness that stands apart from so many other Marvel comics being produced right now. However, the thematic focus of the issue is a major point of contention. Writer Greg Pak appears to have inserted themes of contemporary 2025 CNN news cycles, focusing on, quote, manufactured hatred and fear of the other. This approach ultimately undermines any potential for genuine impact or emotional weight, causing the book to fall flat. While there are glimpses of the storytelling prowess Pak displayed in his older work, such as World War Hulk, the majority of this issue is a disappointment. A more compelling narrative direction for the Silver Surfer, in my humble opinion, would have been to explore themes of life and death, and how an otherworldly being, unfamiliar with mortality, grapples with his own inevitable end. That is a story I would be excited to read. Instead, though, Pak largely centers the issue on an insufferable character named Kelly Coe, who embodies forced, out-of-touch, and ultimately outdated Gen Z tropes in an attempt to appear hip and modern. Her character is presented as abysmally perfect, with other characters even delivering overly verbose accolades to validate her supposed awesomeness. This felt entirely unearned and frankly eye-roll inducing. The Silver Surfer holds a particularly special significance for me, transcending typical fascination with a cosmic-powered hero. Since his debut in Fantastic Four number 48 in March of 1965, Jack Kirby imbued this unique and arresting figure with a profound spiritual quality, a sense of nobility, and an almost religious fervor in his demeanor. There's something inherently mystical and compelling about this solitary figure gliding through the cosmos. Because of this deep connection, I tend to be particularly harsh on comics that fail to capture the character's essence, or worse, subvert it with what feels like a gratuitous and dated girl boss trope. In conclusion, The Death of Silver Surfer issue number 1 is not a recommendation. You can confidently skip it this week. Next up, we have the new Avengers number 1 by Sam Humphries and Ton Lima. Carnage, the Hulk, Namor, Clea, Wolverine, nothing could make them work together, but Bucky Barnes and the Black Widow are going to give it a shot. Demented duplicates of the Illuminati are threatening the world, and if they figure out how to work together, they'll be as unstoppable as the originals. Bucky and Natasha need allies who will do anything to take the duplicates out, but wrangling a team of killers and monsters presents its own dangers. Alright, this comic feels less like a genuine narrative installment and more like a thinly veiled promotional piece, likely intended to loosely tie into upcoming cinematic or multimedia projects like the Thunderbolts movie or the next Avengers film, without truly committing to a compelling story of its own. Much like a growing number of recent Marvel titles, it unfortunately comes across as a marketing pamphlet distributed at a convention rather than a thoughtful work of artistic expression or storytelling. Once revered as a credible and viable artistic modality, the comic book medium, particularly within Marvel since Disney's acquisition, often seems to be produced out of corporate obligation rather than creative passion. This issue, specifically, appears to exist solely to market a corporate product, devoid of any inherent reason for its existence. So, moving on to the actual contents of the book, the execution is remarkably bland and stale. While the art is passable, the dialogue for many characters is nothing short of atrocious. Bucky Barnes in particular sounds entirely uncharacteristic, coming across as an odd comedic relief caricature, seemingly penned by a subpar imitation of James Gunn. At one point, he even states that Laura matches the vibe while recruiting for a new Avengers team, a line that highlights the forced, out-of-touch attempt at contemporary cool. What truly boils my blood, however, is the relentless and overt push to establish Laura Kinney as Wolverine, constantly portraying her as superior to Logan in every conceivable way. There's a scene here where Bucky and Natasha discuss Laura's efficiency for a mission, essentially. And Bucky explicitly alludes to choosing Laura over Logan because she is just so much better. This is frankly utter and absolute nonsense. I'm tired of pretending that this isn't a conscious and deliberate effort by Marvel's editorial big brains over there to replace a foundational character like Logan with what feels like a lesser female knockoff. Overall, and for the most part, this issue failed to resonate with me on any meaningful level. It lacks ambition, and its tone is overly comedic and excessively jokey, striving too hard to be hip and cool to actually take itself seriously. This is a characteristic I despise in comic storytelling. While there are some intriguing character meetups that, under a different writer, could have fostered genuinely compelling dynamics, this book offers little more than shallow, dumb fun with poorly conceived villains and chaos, if decently drawn action scenes. For me, this book is not a recommendation. If the creative team doesn't take this series or these characters seriously, then why should I? Now hold on to your butts, dear viewers, because unfortunately these next 3 books I'm going to review are written solely for vacuous, empty-headed bimbos and fake geek girls. Starting off with Supergirl number 2, art and story both by Sophie Campbell. Issue 2 unveils the secret origin of Lesla Lar, chronicling her evolution from a nerd in candor to a bombshell superbabe, and posits that Supergirl's heroic endeavors ironically inspire villainy. Meanwhile, back in Midvale, Supergirl faces a colossal threat in the form of Titano, the super ape, a creature with kryptonite-like abilities intent on conquering the town. To overcome this challenge, Supergirl is forced to team up with an unlikely new ally from Metropolis, Lena Luthor. This issue unfortunately offers very little in terms of substantial narrative or memorable content. It largely just feels kind of like slop. The plot introduces a new imposter Supergirl who, upon exposure to Earth's sun, inexplicably becomes instantly beautiful and perfect. She's also equipped with super-powered cosmetic makeup, displays extreme jealousy toward the original Kara, and also possesses a hypnotech manipulator to manipulate the people around her so that they'll like her. So yeah, this is definitely written by a woman. The characterization here, particularly with these superficial attributes, leans heavily into tropes that feel completely uninspired and honestly insulting to any female reading comics right now. The book notably lacks a cohesive pace or discernible tone. Events unfold seemingly at random, without clear cause and effect or logical progression between scenes. This disjointed approach points to fundamentally terrible writing. Ultimately, this is an entirely skippable issue. Its absence from your reading list would likely go pretty much unnoticed, so it's a definite skip it. Next up on our list, we have Fire and Ice number 3 by Joanne Starr and Stephen Byrne. With their powers still haywire and dang near everyone in Smallville now body swapped, Fire and Ice must make a deal with the demon Etrigan to chase the key to their salvation, a ring that once belonged to the Lords of Order, last seen in the bowels of hell. The initial installment of Fire and Ice Welcome to Smallville landed solidly in both my worst comics of 2023 and my worst comics of 2024 lists, and I anticipate that this current series will likely follow suit for 2025. It appears that Joanne Starr fundamentally misunderstands not only general comic book storytelling, but also the nuances of writing for DC comic book characters. Her approach to character dialogue is often incongruous, bordering on insulting, and the plot consistently unravels in a haphazard manner, making it difficult to follow. This particular issue is rife with convoluted elements, including a jarring body-swapping plot and an attempt at a meaningful conversation between Bee and Charlie, the latter of whom is inexplicably inhabiting the body of a punk gorilla named Linka. I don't know, just the sheer volume of disparate events happening simultaneously creates an incredibly muddied and confusing narrative. As such, this issue is not a recommendation this week. And finally, we come to the last comic I read this week, giant-sized Dark Phoenix Saga, issue number 1 by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, or as I so lovingly call them, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Kamala Khan is locked in a battle through time against an unstable and unleashed legion, and she's gone from the frying pan into the Phoenix Fire. As the history we know is destroyed in front of her eyes, the new mutant must team up with Jean Grey in her darkest hour, and master her dangerous new mutant power. Lansing and Kelly team up with Rod Race for a cosmic emotional story that turns history upside down. Hey everyone, let me ask you this. Have you ever found yourself yearning to revise those iconic, truly amazing X-Men stories? You know, the ones that have stood the test of time, shaped generations of fans, and delivered genuine emotional impact. Now, imagine taking all that, every single heartfelt, groundbreaking moment, and inserting an incessantly chattering, frankly insufferable character right into the middle of it, effectively stripping away all its meaning, impact, and emotional weight. Well, that is precisely why I'm going to be brutally direct about this one. Do not, under any circumstances, waste your hard-earned time or money. What you're paying for is to witness Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing actively dismantle and cheapen your most cherished X-Men storylines and character moments. This isn't just a misstep. No, it's another attempt, like previous attempts over the past decade, to force Kamala Khan into a role she simply does not fit in within the established X-Men narrative, all in a transparent and frankly failing bid to make her resonate with the Marvel comic reading audience. Instead of celebrating what makes the X-Men great, this issue manages to actively undermine it. It is a profound disservice to the legacy, and it simply doesn't need to exist. This is an absolute skip it. I do not recommend this book. Save your time and your money. And that wraps up another roller coaster week in comic book reviews. But whether it was, a triumphant return or a cosmic disappointment, my hope is that I helped you kind of sort out your pull list so you can kind of know what you should be looking for at the comic shop this week. My goal is to always help you navigate the ever-expanding world of comics, so I hope that this video was useful. Now, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of my recommendations and my skip-its. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I would love to know. Thank y'all once again for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.